wait, what is this? They got you. Hey, wait, okay, we're here. We made it. It doesn't matter how we made it, but we made it. So, yay.
Okay.
All right, Dan, thank you for being here. We're live again. This is the second week. Welcome. Hola, everybody. I can't believe it. This is getting good. I'm getting comfortable. We're getting relaxed. And I just want to welcome everybody. Dan, this is fun. Thank you. You're my second guest.
I feel so privileged, Darlene. Thank you. I appreciate it.
Okay, I see some hellos coming in, so we were going to get to the chat here soon. Then I'll know that we are officially live and we have all our friends support in this 1 hour endeavor and this little chat we're going to get into. So we'll see. I see D-Ru's already saying his hello, his yo. That's good. I appreciate that. All right, let me go ahead and give our little and see how I can do this. Yeah, we'll do it like this maybe. Let's go into the intro because I'm ready. I just want to create a new virtual safe space. Welcome everybody tonight. I'm your host. You guys know me by now, DJ. I'm going to be here every Monday night with a new guest. And today we have Dan. I'm so excited. He's got a really powerful story and we're going to be diving into it to hear all about it. So his story deserves to be known.
Appreciate that, Darlene.
Yes. It's a really beautiful, man, you've been through a lot. So I want to hear it. And it's something that everybody should kind of understand that they're not alone. There's lots of people that kind of go through similar situations and you can be there for them. So we're here. We're going to talk about all this mayhem in our lives and any related topics. We're going to promote some mental health and awareness, disability. We want to talk about hardships. And this is just a place where we're going to bring experience, resources, and we're going to talk a little bit about some important current issues. Of course, like I always say, it can be hot button, difficult, or sensitive. So I always add a trigger warning at the beginning. Use discretion in case we do talk about some things that can be a little bit difficult or mature in nature, right?
Absolutely.
Yeah, you never know. I just want to make sure that everyone feels comfortable when we're, and they kind of know that we might get into something that, might strike some emotion in them they might not be prepared for. So I appreciate everybody checking in. You guys, please follow, subscribe on YouTube, follow me on Twitch, Facebook as well, wherever you're checking in from. I really appreciate the support. You guys can find me on LinkedIn usually, and I'm just here to be any assistance. So please feel free to reach out. All right, we got some hellos already. Not Stream Elements, but G's in the house.
Hey, G.
Hi, G. I'm here. She's so sweet. Checking out the other platforms. Thank you. Send me any feedback. I'd love to hear how it's going. Let me know if you guys can caption something. Something I've been working on this week. I want to make sure captions are available on my Twitch and captions are available on YouTube and Facebook. So please let me know. All right. We got David. Hi, David.
Hey, David.
Hello. Thank you for joining us today. All right. No, man, I hope I can have him. He's wonderful. He's got such a powerful story as well. So I would be honored to have him. Let's see. G just saying. Here on Twitch. Okay. Thank you. Okay. So for good measure, you guys all know I'm not licensed. I'm not a social worker, but I have been in social services for most of my professional career. I'm really excited about this live streaming opportunity. We can bring awareness, provide opportunity and information to others and resources as well, while making some entertainment, right? We got to enjoy a little bit. He says, he's so sweet. He says I'm in. Thank you, D-Ru.
Awesome, man.
It says not available YouTube CC. All right, we're going to definitely work on that for next week because inclusivity, accessibility is very important to me. So we will work on that. I'm sure we might touch on that a little bit tonight. All right, so we're saying hello. All right, Daniel, I think we're going to go ahead and start to warm up on you and figure out who you are. We're going to dig a little bit into your life experiences. I want to hear about your experiences as in foster care and being adopted and all that personal mayhem you've been through to get to where you are today.
Well, first thing I want to do, Darlene, is say thank you, and to everybody out there watching right now. You're taking time out of your life, and that's time that you're missing, and certainly appreciate that so much. And I want to give a shout out to my son, Ethan, who is my biological son from the first marriage. And I wanted to, before I dive into my story, talk a little bit about mental health and dementia, which my dad had before he passed this past year. So there's a story. My dad was in a private care facility, and hopefully this will get a little chuckle out of you guys. And my dad was never a really, he wouldn't hurt anybody. And he thought his roommate was making a move on this other lady that was in the nursing home, thought it was his daughter. So he shoved the guy down and actually ended up bruising his collarbone. And of course, they both have dementia. The guy, his roommate, came back 2 weeks later and was telling my dad about the story of the guy that pushed him down. And my dad said, "You ever find that son of a bitch, you let me know, and I'll let him have it." So that neither one of them could even remembered what had happened. So,
have you talked to Russ Hedge?
I haven't.
Connected with him?
No.
Oh, you should. I think he would be someone you might want to talk to, that you guys could share some experiences with.
Awesome. Yeah, so I grew up age 2 to 5. I grew up in a foster home that was very abusive. And it was me and my 2 other brothers. And we were often beaten, tied down. I was backed into corners many times and told them I was nothing but a piece of shit and I wouldn't amount to anything in life. And that's what I knew. That was where my mayhem started. And there were times that the folks in the foster home would leave food on the table, and they would starve us all day and leave food on the table and wait for us to come and steal the food because we're so hungry. And then they'd punish us for stealing the food. So it was pretty traumatic. And it was about when I was 5 that the Halls ended up coming in, and they took me out of that foster home.
Right. And most of our memories really start around age 4 or 5, if we think back 3, 4. So to really be able to remember even deeper than that trauma.
Yeah.
And then finally feel a difference when the Halls came into your life, huh? Can you share a little bit about that at that time in your life?
Yeah. Kind of had to learn how to self-market pretty quick when I was in that foster home. I knew it was myself and my 2 other brothers, so I ended up just whipping it out and peeing on the wall. And they figured out that I probably needed the most help, and they adopted me a couple of years later. I know I was a holy terror. So,
wow, I love how you say that. They knew what they were getting into, but hey, they just took me right on in.
Yep. Yeah. And I struggled. I struggled for a long time. Struggled for years. I wasn't really appreciative about what they had done up until about 15 years ago. So I was 40 then. And I ended up I always thought my dad was a hard ass on me, and shout out for peeing on the wall. That's a good one.
Who hasn't done it, right?
There you go. But I called up my dad, and I said, "Dad," this was after we had our girls, and we adopted 6 special needs children, and I told him, "Dad, I always thought you were a hard ass on me, and I know now you were just trying to give me structure." So I told him he was my hero, and it was the first time I heard him tear up and cry.
Yeah. He sounds such a special family, such special, warm souls. You were so fortunate to end up in their home
Yeah,
and
and
be
there's
get into the adoption early in your life. Working, you see lots of children that stay in the foster care system for much longer than that. So
yeah, and back then in the 70s, it was often that people were moved around because they didn't understand the trauma. And my mom and dad balanced each other out pretty well. My mom was always the one that saw the best in everybody, and my dad was the disciplinarian. So, and there was just always that balance in there, and that's exactly what I needed.
yeah, they provided a lot of routine and comfort and security, which is something that you probably really didn't even know what it was. And when you felt that,
Yeah, you're absolutely
it
right.
allowed you to continue grow and find some new special parts of you that you didn't even know you had.
Yeah, yep, you're exactly right, Darlene.
Mhm.
Yeah, and you don't realize that until you experience that on both ends. It's for those that go in and are adopted and are in foster care and don't have the privilege of having an amazing family beyond that, of the same type of dynamics, tend not to figure that out in life. And I'm fortunate that I saw myself through my children's eyes, and that was very healing for me.
Right, right.
Yeah.
Now, I know that like you already mentioned, there was a big time gap between finding your family and really being able to become the person you are today.
Hmm.
Right. Years. You said
Yeah.
years. So let's talk about some adolescent years, some 20s. What were you doing? What were you going through? What was that like? Who were you at that time?
I'm gonna just bring it back just a few more years into my teens when I was
Mhm.
an altar boy. And at that point, I didn't give a shit about anybody or anything. So for me, it was in it for myself. And as an altar boy, I would often steal from the church collection. And I would do it because I wanted to buy my friends. We'd go to Sunday school, and I would steal the money and go and basically go over to the general store and get candy and stuff and give it out to all my friends at Sunday school, just to buy their friendship because I didn't have any friends. So that was kind of the mayhem for me. And that was a recurring thing. I still say I'm paying some of my penance back, but I have no regrets right now. Uh,
Right.
um, Closer to my 20s, really started having a falling out with my dad. My mom had passed when I was 21,
Mhm.
and we both just went our separate ways for about 20 years.
Wow.
And
That
wasn't yeah, my wife Tina actually got us both back together, and had the pleasure of seeing my dad, meet our all of our adopted children, and just being able to have that relationship. And I was very fortunate that Tina, like my mother, could see the best in everybody, and me and my dad and everything else in between. So
it's interesting that you made that correlation right there
yeah,
between your wife and that mother figure, that mother
I,
figure.
I tell her often she reminds me of my mom.
I wonder how many other people can really like emotionally make that connection and admit it. Like there's something so nurturing about that spouse, that other person, that partner that reminds them of that from back in their childhood when they were safe, when they were secure, right? I think
Yeah,
that's what we all want to continue to seek, continue to feel. So when you find someone that brings you that feeling of comfort, like your favorite dinner, and you're just like, oh,
yeah,
okay, this is all better. I am like, this fulfills me. This so that's wonderful. Wow. I mean, wow. We could go on and on and on. How do people often respond to your story when you're sharing this with them?
I get some good feedback. As of late, it wasn't really until I started talking to Janiah Iqbal that I really started coming out. And my brother had passed last year. He was my best friend, my biological brother.
Dave.
Dave, you're absolutely right. And I never really had shared my story until online and LinkedIn until he had passed. And Janiah had said, you really need to get out there and just tell your story, be you, and go ahead. And prior to that, I've trained over 400 inbound foster and adoptive parents on what it's like to be a foster child, what it's like to be a foster parent, adoptive parent. So that kind of made it easier to talk about. I was just skittish about how people would react to the story online. And it's just been amazing. Everybody has been super supportive about that journey. So I've been blessed.
Good. LinkedIn definitely provides a lot of community and network that really seems sincere to me.
Yeah, absolutely agree.
Yeah. So something I did want to ask you about. Oh, and I just lost my little train of question. You were talking about foster parenting and how you really enjoyed that. And something we've had other previous conversations is something you've shared that you really miss being that guide, that mentor to incoming foster parents that really want to be there for children and that they're just beginning that journey in fostering. Do you want to talk a little bit about that? Any aspect of it, anything that you want to share?
Absolutely. The one thing that I can't stress enough, if you are considering being a foster or adoptive parent, is you really need to understand what your limitations are as a person, as a couple. If you don't get that wrangled first, then you are going to struggle trying to learn about all these disorders, reactive attachment disorder, PTSDs, dissociative identity disorder, fetal alcohol. All of those disorders come with a heavy price, not just your time. So you need to find out what your limitations are, and because essentially you will become the punching bag for any child that you bring into your home. All that trauma gets transferred over to you, and you pretty much absorb it, and you take it in, and you either have to find an outlet. So knowing what your limitations are is not just your time, but what you're able to cope with mentally and physically.
Yeah, it's really important to know. Individuals need to know what they can give, their boundaries, like you said, their limitations, really have a good understanding of themselves.
Absolutely.
Yeah. And we can, talk a little bit about what goes into that, taking care of children, taking care of adults with disabilities, special needs, mental health issues. It could be anybody in our family. It could be a family member, someone in our household, someone we work with, right?
Absolutely.
So being able to be sensitive, be compassionate towards individuals that may not behave in what you're used to and who you are and what you consider to be quote unquote normal, and just being able to open yourself up to different kinds of interactions.
Yep. Yeah.
Mhm. Yeah. Do you want to talk a little bit about communication and interactions?
Yeah. Let me. I'll share the story of my son and I when he was 2. Uh, it's the morning started out with me not understanding fetal alcohol and just yelling at him. And he was 2, and he would just scream. Sometimes just to scream. Sometimes needs were needed to be met. And my wife turned around to me and said, "You need to stop. You need to listen with more than just your ears." And that day just rolled, and I felt miserable. I just thought I'd let everybody down. So the next day, I just I can either dwell on this or I can fix it. So I started learning sign language, which obviously anybody can pick up and learn. And within a couple months, my son was signing more and please and thank you. And I just felt so accomplished being able to communicate with him. We still have times, even now, he's 10, and we still have times where I struggle to communicate with him. But then I'm a lot quicker to just throttle myself back and to put myself in his shoes. And at the other end of that, my wife and I often just touch base at the end of the day, and we all have our bad days, and we check in with each other and see what we could do better. And for us, that is so important, especially just that's the way we show up for them, and that's the way we show up for each other, is to make sure that we have that level of communication and we're not afraid to fail. You fail. You show your kids how resilient you are by failing, and you show your kids that you're still there 20 years later, showing up for them. That doesn't mean you failed, your whole life. You just, at some point you're successful. You show them what that resilience looks like. So that's how it.
I don't like to look at failures in a negative sense anyways, personally. It's for me, it's not right now, or try again, or try to do that in a different way and you might get it. You try not to think of failure as just flat out something that was, a loss in some way. It's more of a learning, something to learn from and continue to grow.
Absolutely.
So, and I always try to pass on that message, and I know you do. And with communication, going back to that, that's one of those fundamental areas where you really when you connect with an individual, you connect with a person on their way of communicating. It's not your way of communicating. And once you open up that space, that highway of communication, then you really allow or open up to so much more that comes with it, with the emotions and the love and things start to change. And those children and those adults, when they realize, like, okay, I can finally express what I need to express and someone can understand it and reciprocate, like they understand me and validate that request, it really does allow them, again, ongoing growth.
And that mayhem sometimes that we talk about is communication for them, because a lot of the traumatized children come into the home and all they know is mayhem. So they need that mayhem to feel normal. And if you have to learn what that looks like for them to be able to communicate with them. And I'm so glad that I like just about every type of music, because I can sit here and I can put on heavy metal, I can put on classical, and I can please somebody just by what's playing on the radio. So
there you go.
Yeah, even that mayhem has a way of communicating itself out.
It sure does. And music in itself, right? It's a way to express art, to let it all out. And if you listen carefully enough, patiently enough, you're going to get a message out of it.
Absolutely.
I think sometimes people are just so quick to kind of say, I'm busy, or I can't, or I don't have time for this. They're frustrated, they're overwhelmed, and so hopefully if people can just slow down and just be a little bit more warm to others, be compassionate of others without being so judgmental, it really does allow a better society for everyone to continue to grow and continue to feel like they can be productive to society, contribute something. I think that's something we all want. I know that's something that I deeply share and in my heart that's important. Just like you, as a foster parent, adoptive parent, educating, teaching, bringing awareness with your story. So, it's important that we're out there and we are sharing those stories. So when to know that you just started sharing your story so recently, that you finally found a space to be able to do that, and you've been received so warmly, must really, again, kind of reinforce what we were just talking about.
Yeah, and it really fills in a gap for me, because my therapy was talking to inbound foster parents, and since COVID, that's pretty much gone. and I don't get that opportunity anymore. So it really filled in a huge void for me to be able to do that. I never in my lifetime thought it would be LinkedIn I'd be talking about it.
Right.
Yeah.
Absolutely. I think that LinkedIn is not a platform we normally think, oh, let's just have this kind of conversation on. Unfortunately, I'm not on LinkedIn and I'm waiting. But us connecting and me being so active on it and being one of my favorite platforms, just because of that reason, people just seem to be genuinely uh, understanding and receptive to a story. I think that you kind of learn that when you're in business, you realize that there's people behind that,
Yeah.
and you have to get to know that person before you move forward with any business.
Yeah. And that's what I'm learning as well, is that I've had so many people just reach out to me and um, just want to work with me because they already know I've been through that. I've seen enough failure, and they know the character that's behind me. So, and I never thought it was going to turn out that way. So I'm blessed. I really am.
Yeah, it sounds like it. I mean, you just are doing so well right now, and you're really you're still working with
Yep.
the software stuff, so that
Yep.
keeps you busy during the day, right? And then you have your
Yep.
family at night, and you're always sharing all those amazing content, and the videos of the kids
Yeah.
and cookies. Oh, let's talk about cookies. One of your little pumpkins is selling some cookies, so I saw you share that.
Yeah. Some Girl Scout cookies, and yes, and even Miss DJ bought some boxes of Girl Scout cookies.
No, but we want to support the kids, what they're doing. It really, the point is that you shared a story about how you were a Boy
Yeah.
Scout. That taught you some lessons, some life lessons, just
Absolutely.
like I have life lessons from whether you played sports and you remember that sports team you played on,
Yeah.
whether you were active in some sort of function or place of worship, you were going to church. It always instilled some sort of values in you. And
Yes. Yeah.
it's always nice that you can always reflect as a kid to that. And now you've passed that on. You're encouraging that in your own child. Like, this is good. And now she's out there and she's really starting to see how the, like getting excited, like, okay. So, but I don't know any other experiences she's had. I'm just talking about specifically cookies.
Yeah. I mean, let's talk about Olivia. Yes, she's selling Girl Scout cookies. And she has seen how the way I tend to send video messages to people on LinkedIn, just out of the blue. It'll be random, just thanking people for supporting everything that I do. And she said, Dad, this weekend, she said, Dad, I really want to thank everybody that's purchased, cookies on LinkedIn. So I said, Olivia, let's do a video for each one. And she sent out a video message to each one individually, and she just grinning ear to ear each time because she likes the camera. So,
Okay, she's
but
taking
but
it a little bit.
but she, Olivia, yeah, she is sweet. She's got a heart of gold, and she was one of the reasons why we were able to adopt our last child. She
Oh,
stood, yeah, she stood. Um, she was on the stand in court. We had a year-long legal battle with Florida, and the judge asked her, Olivia, if you could have anything for Christmas, what would you want? And she goes, I don't want any presents or toys. I just want my baby sister to come home. And there was not a dry eye in the courtroom that day. And she was 7 at the time. She's going to be 12 here this year. So she was just floored everybody. We got out of that courtroom, and she turns to my wife, Tina, and she's like, Mommy, I did all the hard work today, didn't I? And Tina's like, yeah, you did.
you're the one that kind of won the game right there, winning.
Yeah, yeah. And we did not prep her for any of that. That was just from her heart. It's what she felt. And it was just genuine. And to this day, we are friends with those foster parents. friends with them because Bella, who we finally adopted, is going to have questions someday about her identity. And we didn't want to have any ill will towards those foster parents, even though they tried to challenge us in court. We still are. We have a great relationship with them today.
Yeah. And sibling relationships, that's just something that we could go on and on to, right? It's so important to keep siblings together in foster care. And when they're adopted, that's that moment when you're like, okay, we're going to stay together, and it's forever now.
Yeah.
It's like finally you've reached that point of we can breathe, we can sigh, we can hug, we can cry. Do you guys celebrate your adoption day? Do they each have a special day and you eat cake, like another birthday? You guys do that too?
Oh yeah. We don't necessarily get into the cakes and stuff, but we're heavy on the colors: purple, white, black, blue, pink. We had specific adoption colors, so they have a special meaning for us.
Okay, good. So you guys, that's important, to share that and let them know you continue to celebrate them, and that they're home, and that they're loved, and that they're yours, and that there's no going back. That's it. This is it. I'm here to love you and help you and take care of you and watch you grow and be the best little human you can be.
We just want them to be happy. Whatever they do, just want them to be happy. Olivia's already said, I don't want to have kids. I want to adopt. So, yeah.
Yeah. They can already recognize, like, they've already seen so much.
Yeah.
Probably more than process to think that they already, like, they know things.
Yeah, it's amazing.
Oh. Man, the time's flying by. I'm having a good conversation with you. I really appreciate, all these, like, what we're talking about, and the kids and the situations, everything you guys have been through, what they're going through. And you've got, like, everybody's doing something different, right? Like, so-and-so's doing this activity and so-and-so's doing that activity. And it's like the balance of the family and keeping, but it's so important to talk about routine and structure and maintaining that as well. That's one of those pivotal, foundational family structures that you have to be successful.
Absolutely.
So, do you guys have routines, and do you want to, like, share, and how did they start to manage and say, okay, now we got mom and dad and we got a routine, and they've really fallen into that, I assume.
Yeah, one of the most important routines is our bedtime, and it's age appropriate. Our youngest ones are upstairs by 6:30 at night, 6:30 p.m., and they will tend to be asleep by around 7:30. So we make sure it's important for kids to get at least 12 hours of sleep for them to stay regulated. And we try to make sure that happens. That's really important. And one of the things that we do at nighttime is we make sure that there's at least some level of kindness, no matter how much of a bad day you've had. We make sure that it always ends with kindness, no matter what. And we do that by saying, like with my son, who I yelled at when he was 2, every night I say, buddy, what's tomorrow? And he says, it's a new day. And he says, it's a new day to make it the best day again. You're right. So it doesn't matter if we had a bad day, anything that's happened today, we let it go, and tomorrow's a new day. And that shows forgiveness, that shows kindness, and that just shows them that they get a chance to reset. And for them, that is huge, because they wake up starting their day refreshed, and they know that they're forgiven. It doesn't mean that we let them walk all over us. It just means that our love is unconditional.
Absolutely. Yeah. Absolutely. Everybody needs a reset. Everybody needs a free pass at night. Like, it's okay. Like you said, not everybody has a great day. We have bad days, and we want some time to kind of just be allowed to, sorry, I wasn't so great today.
So
But
that's one of the super important routines for us, the structure. And just technology is one of the other biggest ones. No big game stations in our house, iPads, iPods, phones as needed, but light on the tech.
okay. Yeah.
Yeah.
So you guys put it on the wall. It's very, everybody can see it.
Yep.
It really helps them visually understand structure as well, and the routine,
Yep.
and positive reinforcement. That's another thing
Yes.
that is
Yeah.
really important.
Absolutely.
They incorporate into our parenting that positive reinforcement. So at the end of the day, hey, it's okay. This wasn't the best work, but that's okay. Tomorrow you get another chance to earn that star or that
Yeah.
stick or that treasure box.
And the apologies and making sure that their siblings are forgiving when the apology is given. Yep.
Right. That's definitely, you want to, and you do teach all those values of
Yep.
kindness and compassion and forgiveness. That's probably something they weren't taught. They weren't taught those words and what they represent, what they mean.
Yep. You're exactly right.
Hmm. So you're giving them so much for the rest of their life. It's so much more, right? Than just, and there's that proverb about you teach a man to fish, they can eat
Yep.
for the rest of their life, but you give them a fish then. So, and I said it backwards, but you understand. You
That's all
understand.
right.
You're teaching them those values that they're going to hold forever as they become independent young adults. Are you ready for that?
Google is my friend. If they ask me a question, I was like, Google it. Just go Google it. I know the answer, but you need to Google it. You need to find out more than just the answer. Um, my 17-year-old daughter came up to me one day and she's like, Dad, I'm a badass. I was like, wow, you are? It's like, that's cool. What does it mean? It means I'm a badass. So I was like, Google it. She Googled it. It says, badass, a stubborn donkey.
Ooh, she didn't like that. Then after I Googled it. Oh goodness.
So yeah,
Oh,
Google's definitely become my best friend.
that's funny. That's funny. Yeah, I mean, kids are growing so fast.
Yeah, yeah, they are. My
They're like,
gosh. And I still see them as babies, so that's a shortcoming of mine.
that's okay. I think we all do that. I've got an older one that's in their 19, and I have a younger one. So, and I don't want to let him go. I don't want him to grow up.
Yeah,
But they continue to do so. So you just kind of have to stick with it and keep the lessons. Maintaining them, keeping them
yeah, yeah,
within their comfort zone, and providing those bumpers in life.
yeah, and then letting them explore, fail, and sometimes figure things out.
Yeah,
and
absolutely.
and they eventually find their way, and they have a few lessons learned along the way, which helps build really good character for them.
Yeah. So, I want to know, do you, what kind of parenting, aside from, just the stuff we talked about, but do you kind of have like a little soft spot? Are you the softer parent, or is mom's like, how do you
Oh,
guys,
I'm definitely the softie.
you're the soft?
I'm the biggest kid in the house. Oh yeah, yeah.
Do the kids know that yet? Did they
Oh
figure
yeah.
it out?
They know. They know. Yeah. But the they know when I mean business too.
Oh,
So
yeah,
yeah.
sure. Does it change? Do you call them by their first name, middle name, last name? Do you?
It's interesting because all of the girls but one have a middle name of Marie, so I can say Marie, and I got the attention of just about every person in the house. So yeah, yeah,
Okay. Yeah. So I mean, that's the joke. Everyone's like, "Oh, when you get called by your full name,
yeah.
Dad." So I didn't know if that fell for you. You too.
Oh,
Dad's calling you by your full name.
yeah, for me it was Danny. So when people call me Danny, I'm like, because I knew I was in trouble then. So that's a trigger for me. I rarely, other than my family, I rarely let anybody call me that. Yeah.
Hmm. Interesting. Yeah, there's definitely, I think, those words that kind of bring us back to a time. Mm, it's definitely embedded in our brains.
Yeah.
What is that? Imprinted
Yeah.
in there.
Imprinted. Yeah.
Yeah. Full name means trouble. It does that
Yes.
for me too. Darlene Janet.
Yeah.
And,
Absolutely.
and like my name's not short by any means. My maiden name isn't short. So, that then you knew you were in trouble.
Yeah. Yeah. Yeah.
They're taking out all that energy to call it. Uh, but that's all right. I mean, you've overcome lots of hardships and us talking, you've, really overcome so many struggles. Is there any little piece extra you want to share? Any little secrets that you have hidden tucked away? Any other little like stories that you haven't shared?
I'll
I
share.
can.
I'll share a funny one, and this one has to be about just not being able to see things clearly.
Mhm.
And when we got our girls, uh, who were age 4 and 8 at the time, we brought them to the ocean. They'd never been to the ocean, and we're halfway to the ocean, and I turned around, and my 4-year-old said, "Dad, don't look. I got a wedgie." And okay, I'm not looking. So I turned back around. I was in the front. She was in the back seat. And I turned back around again. She's like, "I still got my wedgie. I'm trying to fix it." So she said she decided she was going to take a clear plastic tray, put it in front of her, and she's like, "It's okay. You can look." I turned around. I can still see through the clear plastic tray. you know, so she thought just blocking that
Walking.
with the tray was stopping me from seeing. So
Oh,
it it's a funny little story. It's something that we laugh about now. We're like cracking up, but we talk about that.
yeah.
So yeah, I haven't shared that yet. So
Oh, well, see, I like it when I get like, ooh, yay, a new story.
yeah,
This is fun. This is nice. And I know you have lots of stories because
yeah,
all the kids have everything that they're going through. So they each have their own unique sayings and the way that we respond to things and their little quirks or what makes them laugh.
yeah,
Just hearing them laugh when like that they're in such a relaxed state of mind and they're really just enjoying whatever they're in that moment, and you can just hear that pure happiness in their voice. I think for me that is one of the most satisfying things when you're with working with someone that really just struggles on
yeah,
the day to day, you know, through no fault of their own, and that that their life isn't just the easiest life. So when you really see them in those moments when they're at ease and pure relaxation and happiness, there's nothing like it.
yeah. And sometimes that laughter is a sign of exhaustion as
Mm.
well,
Oh,
especially with my son that has autism.
oh, okay.
When he gets to that point, you can tell if you listen. I guess with more than just your ears, you can
Yeah.
tell it's not his normal cackle. It's I'm tired, and everything is funny.
Wow.
And yeah, sometimes that laughter it just has a little bit more of a hidden meaning.
Yeah, that's
Yeah,
so true. Just like a cry, a
yeah,
cry could be me
yeah,
be a cry could sound different depending on what's really making you cry.
yeah, yeah, yeah,
So, yeah, and again, the communication, being aware and knowing who they are and how they communicate and knowing
hmm,
them individually, so you can be able to read them and support them and
yeah,
provide them what they need. But yeah, it's listening with more than just those ears.
yeah,
Absolutely. Absolutely. It's the twinkle in their eye. It's the way they rub their eye, or they turn
yeah,
away, or they start fidgeting in some sort of way. So
yeah.
you know your kids.
Oh yeah, yeah,
That you're so tuned into your kids. Yes, it's
yeah.
very important. so important. It just, that for me, it's one of those pivotal things for development and growth. If there's no communication, there's just really there's not going to be a whole lot of growth and development. And that's one of those fundamental things that you want to have with your children is communication.
Yeah.
So, I mean, honestly, I have an older child. It struggles. She's a lot like me, so we butt heads a lot. But you still try to find that place where we can communicate and stay connected, despite, personality differences or whatever's going on in that moment in that day that you're bringing with you from outside external sources, right?
Yeah. Yeah.
My goodness, this time's running by, and before you know it's going to be like the whole hour. We're like 45 minutes in. I guess we should start wrapping this up at some point. I could keep talking forever. Is there anything you want to share about, anything that we haven't covered? I mean, you can't cover everything in an hour, and we kind of didn't really plan where this was going to go. It was just really just a nice casual conversation so we could share with other people a little bit more about you. So is there anything else you want to share about you and that we haven't really covered that you?
Yeah. I think one of the most amazing memories that I have, and this was early on in foster care, at least us fostering, was when a group called BACA showed up at our door. And BACA is Bikers Against Child Abuse. Yeah. And they will come, and for kids that are abused and traumatized that are in the system, man, when they showed up, we had no clue they were coming. And we could hear this rolling thunder just coming up our development. And we looked outside, and these at least 25 or 30 motorbikes that rolled up and just parked really neatly on our house. And, they were there for our children. And they gave them biker names and biker jackets, and they're with them until they're 18. I mean, they always are part of that group now, but it was just the most amazing things to see bikers that have given up their time and just put aside their negative tendencies and done something just positive for children. And that it still gives me chills to remember that to this day. And that was probably one of the most amazing experiences and we kept in touch with a lot of them. We still do. So that was awesome.
So that's one of those agencies, those organizations that's really just supported you throughout and really provided some extra. It's so important to go out there and hopefully, people can find some agencies that can really support them and provide that. We didn't even cover support systems.
Yeah.
Lord knows, as caregivers, friends, families, relatives of anyone that have disabilities, mental health issues, special needs, like the support system is such a huge factor of that. And like the beginning of the conversation started with the caregiver, they absorb some of that energy and trauma through the process, through the caregiving process, the loving process, trying to take out that energy out of them and replenish it with positive values and love. And so it's intense. So it's nice to know that you had that organization, that agency there with you, really supporting you through that. Bikers, go Bikers. What's their organization name again? Bikers
Against Child Abuse. I think it's bacaworld.org, I believe is the website. Yeah.
All right. We'll definitely have to put that information out there, and appreciate you sharing that. I can't, appreciate you being here, and it's been such a experience to share with you your story and hear about your journey and your family and everything, how you've been able to open up about this that you held so close but yet so privately.
Yeah. And I appreciate you so much, Darlene, for give me the opportunity to do that.
Yeah, absolutely. Absolutely. Um, golly, is that it?
Thanks, Deru. Thanks,
Oh,
Deru. Appreciate it, man.
yeah, he is so cool. Deer is definitely a great guy. Daniel, you're a great guy. I knew it when we first met and you started sharing your story and I heard it that it was, just so important to share, so important to have and be told. Um, God, we're coming up to a close. So we got like
Yeah.
10 minutes left. I'm sweating. I'm sweating. It's been a really good conversation. Let me see if I have any last questions. I don't know. What's the most important thing you've pretty much learned in life? Like, what's your takeaway from all of this, all the hardships, ups and downs, with kids? Like,
There is always opportunities in life to improve on yourself. And that is probably the biggest takeaway for me is when I'm in a rut and I need to, I can recognize that, okay, I need to work on me. I need to do something to change how I can look at something or view something. And that's something that takes a lot of time to figure out about yourself. And it's not easy to do if you're just by yourself. For me, it's my environment now and my family. They help me to be able to reflect and be a better person. And that's probably been one of the biggest successes for me is just to be able to have that time to reflect and to see if there's something that I can do differently to improve on myself.
yeah, that's beautiful. I think what I heard from that is that you recognize that you were so successful professionally,
Hmm.
but you really became successful, with your wife and your children and
Yeah,
personally is really where your success came from.
we are rich. We're rich in love, and that's where it's at. You
That's
take all
it.
the money away, and we're still here. We're still the same people.
Yeah, that's nice. I feel the same. It's really like in the heart.
Yeah,
It's really in the heart. External things really cannot compare to what you can carry, what you can give, what you can share with someone. And human connection for me is just so ultimately important that um, that people I want people to learn and realize that that is precious. There's lots of people, and I think you would say, like, you didn't realize that emotionalness until later on in your life. Once you got really into it with your wife teaching you and helping you, that you were able to appreciate and grow. And it just really seems to be the theme of tonight's conversation.
yeah. It definitely just we grow together. We
Mhm.
and yeah, and that just seeing that it just magnifies how that helps me. And if I can't grow and I can't teach my kids, and really my wife teaches me how to grow, so I can't. Uh, I don't know if I ever teach her that much, but she does that for me. So yeah,
That's
and that gets reciprocated down to our kids. She helps with that.
Yeah, and I'm sure you teach her a lot. You give yourself some credit, Daniel. Give yourself some credit, but you're just so sweet and so appreciative of your wife.
Yeah,
And that is like that kudos to you, because that spouse, that role, she plays such a huge important role in your life to keep it all together. Keep it all together. Is she like the she's really like the workhorse in this, isn't she?
she is. She is, and
Stop there.
you know when to just let mama have her space, and you know when to have an ear open, and you know when she wants your opinion.
Yeah.
And so yeah, she just has this way of reaching in and touching your soul.
Aw, you
It's
are so,
amazing.
so blessed to have her with you. And
Yeah.
you guys could share this journey. I mean, to find a partner and to have this beautiful story to share. I can only imagine what your family thinks of it, when they look at you guys and they see all the the ups and the downs you have to go through. I mean, marriage is not easy. That's a whole nother thing to talk about, that relationship component of it. The relationship has to be solid in order to be able to provide that stability for the children.
Yeah.
So, we talked a lot about the children and like other stuff, but even that relationship creates another component to that foundation with the structure, the routine, the values, everything else. Gosh, but you've really done such a fabulous job to put it all together for yourself and your family.
Thank you, Darlene. I appreciate that.
Yeah. All right. Well, I guess we're going to wrap it up. I guess we're going to go ahead and start shutting this down. So I want to give you all my thanks for being here, Daniel. I'm going to, can't say how many good things I love talking to you because, we see a lot of eye to eye, and we've been through kind of like the system, me from like the service provider perspective and you from various perspectives. And it really I appreciate you sharing that, and that I could allow that voice to be known and that story to be shared tonight. So, I guess I appreciate you, and I'm gonna let you head on out to take care of those kiddos. Give
All
them
right.
cards, my warm, and tell Olivia I'm excited for my cookies.
Thank you so much, Darlene. I appreciate you so much.
You take care, and you have a great, great night. Thank you,
You too.
Daniel.
Thank you, everybody.
All right, let me see. All right, guys. So we had Daniel on the show. That is so nice. I'm so excited. It's been a great week leading up to having Daniel here. And I can't say enough good things about his strength and his dedication and his story today, really helping us educate and bring awareness to these different topics we shared. We're going to continue to encourage others, support individuals in understanding their similar experiences. I really want to honor his story and hold space for what he shared with us. So it's really been an honor to have him here. Next week, I will have another guest, and with another amazing story himself. It's going to be Mr. Jairus Tucker. We're going to talk a little bit about his life experiences and how he was raised in Virginia, coming from a family with lots of siblings, a single mother, dealing with food insecurities, depression. We're going to just dig a little bit into his personal mayhem. It's going to be really a great night and find out how he became such a successful entrepreneur, a speaker, and a CEO with his real one-on-one consulting. His hashtag is Thinkers at Work, where he provides consulting and marketing coaching. So I really can't wait to talk to him about his story and hear his voice. And he does have a published book called Nature Flow available online. So we're going to talk a little bit about that. And so we'll be back next week, and you guys will not want to hear it, miss it, and be here. So I really appreciate everyone that stayed tuned with us for me and Daniel tonight. Please make sure you connect on our social platforms, LinkedIn. Daniel Hall is available on LinkedIn. We'll put that in the comments below. I can be followed on Twitch, here on Facebook and YouTube. So please make sure you guys subscribe to the channel so you don't miss any videos that I put up or any other future guest shows. It's always, trying to be a resource and just assist in any way. So please feel free to reach out in any way if anybody needs any assistance. We do appreciate the support, and I really like to thank StreamYard for powering this live today. And I couldn't thank all of my friends and family enough for all the support. You guys really, really rock. And so I guess that's it. We're going to close it out because my buddy Gabe is going to head on and start his live show made from scratch broadcast. So you guys head on over there and catch him live. All right. You guys have a great night. Bye.